Greetings, welcome back to CS195 Web Development. This is week 8. We are on to Intro to JavaScript. So far we learned how to build a web page, we learned how to style a web page, and last week we learned about how to organize the display of it with Flexbox and Grid. But now we're actually how to make it interactive. And we're going to start small like we did with CSS. Just kind of the basics of how you interact and whatnot before we actually could do a whole lot. But for this first objective, we understand how to actually just do the inserting, right? You had to use style tags to start your CSS. So the first objective is to be able to do that. Our success criteria is demonstrating, interacting with, and accessing the DOM, and of course what the DOM is. So let's watch our good old con video, and then we'll go ahead and test it out.
A basic web page, like this one, is made up of HTML tags, like all these. Now, when we want to style a web page, how do we bring CSS into it? We add a style tag, and the browser knows when it sees a style tag to use its CSS engine to process that tag. We usually put this style tag in the head because we want to make sure that the browser processes the styles before it renders the HTML tags. Otherwise, if we put style at the bottom here, then we could have an FOUC, a flash of unstyled content, and people would see our web page naked. Gross. Let's bring it back here where it belongs. Okay, so now this web page has style. How do we bring JavaScript into a web page when we want to add interactivity? For that, we add a script tag. And the best place to put a script tag is actually at the very bottom of the page, right before your end body tag. I've put it there, and I'll explain why it's there in a bit. Now, what can I put inside this script tag? We can put any valid JavaScript in it, like var 4 equals 2 plus 2. But that's not terribly exciting because nothing's happening on our web page, and if you're on Khan Academy, you probably already knew that 4 equals 2 plus 2. So one thing I can do to check that it works is to write this line of code here. Okay, you don't see anything, right? And maybe you've never seen this function before. This function, console.log, is a special one we can use in many JavaScript environments, including browsers.
And depending on what you're built with, or what you've done through, anyone who's taken the CS160 or AP Computer Science Principles uses JavaScript before. A lot of JavaScript uses this as well. In this case, you need to click Inspect, and you can actually see what the console log is doing, right? You can actually see where it is. But and you can see right here where she actually shows it. And again, as she's typing, it's running with her code. That's why you see it multiple times in here. But this is where the console log is. When you do it by yourself, you're not going to have all of this extra stuff. If you just build it on your 00 web host or whatever you happen to be, your local web hosting, this is what they're talking about with console log. This is the console. It's console. You can also view it over here, just it. So that is a console. It's very useful. When we get to debugging, you'll see it again as well.
And it will write out things to the JavaScript console. You can find that console in your browser by pressing Command Option I or Control Option I, or right-clicking anywhere on your page and selecting Inspect Element. Pause the talk through now. Try to bring up your dev console to see that message.
Done and done.
So, did you see it? Great.
Yep.
You can close the console now if you'd like, as it can take up a lot of room. It can also get distracting since it will show you every error as I'm typing. It is a great tool for debugging though, so definitely file it away in your toolbox. Now let me actually do something to the page with JavaScript, using a line of code that will not make a lot of sense yet. Document.body.inner.html equals woo, all up in your web page. See what happened? our web page disappeared and was replaced with our elite hacker message. We'll go into more details about how this line of code actually works, but basically it found the body tag and replaced the contents. Now, what would happen if I copied and pasted this script tag and stuck it up in the head with the style tag?
Does the body exist yet? Nope.
It doesn't work. Why not? Because the web page evaluates the script tag before it sees the body tag. And it says, uh-oh, I haven't even seen document.body yet, and you're trying to manipulate it. That can't happen. That's why we have to put our script tag at the bottom of the page so that the web page sees the body tag first, sees everything in it, and then we start doing stuff to it. We want to make sure that the web page exists first. And that's different from CSS. We want to put our style tag at the beginning because the CSS parser is fine with applying styles to things that don't exist yet. It'll just apply them once they happen. But JavaScript DOM is not fine with that. So make sure it goes at the bottom here. Try adding a script tag in the next challenge, making sure you put it at the bottom, and then I promise I will explain much more.
Yeah, we're going to go in a lot more. You got to walk before you run, so the concept of having where the script tag is and the fact that it kind of is, to relate it to style. The style is a totally different language inside the style tag. And same thing for the script tag, right? This is JavaScript. This is actually now programming language. Everything else was scripting. This is the actual programming language behind all of this. But you need to know where to put it, and you need to understand each little piece as we go through. Kind of like when we taught you how to do style, but then all we taught you was how to do background and color, because you needed to understand how to select stuff. You're going to have that same kind of concept as we go through this. You got to be able to select. All right, and these next few things are selecting it, and we'll show you how to change a few things, kind of like we did in CSS. We got to be able to select stuff in order to change it, just like we did with CSS. So go ahead, finish up the con practice and the con challenge, journal entry, and just know that you add the script tag at the bottom by typing in a script tag, right? That is all that this was about. We'll go ahead and learn to do more with that, what you actually put in the script tag, to have more fun with this as well. That's the end of this lesson. We'll see you next lesson.